Well, the interface has changed a little bit. Things look different right now.
Yeah,
On my screen.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's driving me nuts. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order at 6:02 on Monday, January 26th of the Windsor Southeast Supervisory SU meeting. Any changes and additions to the agenda?
I have one, Bill, if
Yes,
that's
Christine.
okay.
That's fine.
After D on items for discussion, resignation, we are proposing a new hire.
Okay.
So
I'll have to crack the whip through the policies then.
yeah.
Okay. Any other additions, changes, or additions? Okay. Public comment is not, am I in the right place? No, approval of minutes. I'm like, that seemed quite right. I will take a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Thank you, Nancy.
Yes. They were awful.
They're getting really truncated.
The minutes?
Yeah, there were mistakes. There were, they wrote Albert Bridge, something else. It was terrible. Someone has to go over those and change everything that's wrong.
Yeah. And I believe, Elizabeth, you had some, you kind of had said the same thing during the Mount Scottney meeting. Just some, yeah. It is a public facing document, so and generally I'm quite pleased with it. But as a dyslexic, I know if anything I'm publishing out, it's always a good idea for me to have someone else read it. I don't know if we put in some sort of procedure that Lori reviews it, or does she already? Or
yeah, I will get on that.
Yes, there were so many mistakes. Many.
That's unusual for her. So
well, they weren't hers. They were the AI meeting minutes.
Are you talking about the AI minutes or the?
Yes, I'm talking about.
Okay,
the AI.
no. Okay, no.
I was going to say I'm looking through this and it looks fine.
Okay.
So well, I've been trying to figure out what we're talking about here.
Thank you. Again, dyslexic. If Nancy says there's spelling issues, I'm not sure I'm the guy to check them. But no, I didn't see any real issues with the grammar. It's just things are getting
shorter.
Well, I just think it might be nice, especially for the more important topics, to put some one or two intent sentences in there.
Okay.
Not necessarily for, most of the stuff is perfect, but when you get to really important discussions like we've had in Scottney and the SU meeting the last couple months, then I think that would be good. Okay, thank you for clarifying, Nancy, because I was going to take your word for it about the grammar mistakes.
I'm talking about the ones that were.
Yeah, no, those are, you could, when we're discussing approval minutes, we're ignoring those. This is not about that. Okay, any other comments on these? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes of December 15th, please say aye.
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 I'm an aye. Any abstentions?
Me, I wasn't there. Beth.
Yes. Any nays? Okay. Now, public participation, the part I usually try to jump to too soon. Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in. Because I have no idea if we have public tonight?
We have one teacher from Windsor.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Any announcements? I had a snow day today. Okay. Moving on. Thank you. Public policy discussions followed by noted motions. There shouldn't be any motions tonight. And these are all, we should be able to whip through these fairly quickly. Starting off with instructional practice and access to curriculum materials. I hope everyone has a chance to read this. This is pretty in depth. I like. I was on the fence about listing out the A through H, but the more I read over it and processed the fact that this is a public-facing policy, I like that it's in the policy. Has Bridget? Sorry to drag you into this, but I'm wondering if you can hear me. Have you looked over this list?
Yeah,
And
I actually work with Christine on the changes for this policy.
Okay.
And Mountain View, which is one of the ones we looked at, does get into very specifics. I don't know if they've updated with the new education quality standards, but given that there were the new EQs, we felt like it was important to list them in there.
Okay. So I'm going to make a suggestion, or it may just be a request. I think at some point, Bridget and Christine, if you could kind of go over these A through H's with us, I think it would be important for the rest of the board members. Nothing long.
Okay.
Is March okay? I have to present anyway in March. Does that feel okay, Bill?
Yeah, we have a whole, I think that would be perfect. We have a rather long list of policies we're working on anyway, so we could pull this one off the list for our third reading. Any other comments from anybody? Thank you, Bridget. Yeah. Want to thank the administration for working on this. Hey, special education, D24. Is it my imagination that the only changes is that it went from D7 to D24 and the manual is no longer found on the website? Which I wouldn't trust the AOE website to have anything on it so I think any kind of any policy should not have any reference to looking at the Vermont agency's website. Elizabeth.
I believe the Agency of Education was supposed to come out with a brand new recommended policy on January 1st. So do you think we should be adopting this policy right now, or should we wait for the model policy to come out from AOE?
Well, we're not adopting any policy tonight.
I'm just saying, shouldn't we just hold off on this until we receive?
I agree with you there. You know, if we're expecting a new policy recommendation from the
Agency of
AOE?
Education. Yep. Okay. It was part of Act 73.
Okay. Does anyone else have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, if there's a new policy coming out, should we do a motion to table this one and then just?
Well, I don't think we need a motion. I just have to approve putting it on a where where it goes on an agenda.
I
Got
will add that that policy has to go through approval by the State Board of Education. And I'm not sure what their deadline is. I can look it up while we talk. But it's not like, even though they've may or may not have come, even if they came out with their policy before January 1st, it still has another process to go through before we can adopt it. But
Davis?
Yeah, I think even if that process takes some time, the changes to this are so minimal that like it makes just as much sense for me to pull it and then wait for the new one to come out, so we're not adding another line item to our agendas for a couple months, you know?
Anyone else have some input on this? For or against it? Okay, so I agree with Elizabeth and Davis, and so let's pull this
Hold.
one for
Okay.
the foreseeable future. Okay. E21, distribution of non-school sponsored literature in schools. I read this in much more detail. This is not really a First Amendment issue because this excludes students. This is not about students sharing information. It's about other people sharing information, and basically the way this policy is written out, it's really up to the superintendent and the administrator to approve or deny it. And it's laid out quite clearly. Follows the
Just-
law. Yes, Christine.
A question, Bill. So under part 2, where part 2C shall prohibit the distribution of literature that primarily seeks to advertise for sale products or services. I do get flyers for like summer camps and dance classes for kids, and those are certainly advertising services where people do make money. I think they're good for kids. So I wanted your kind of direction on that.
Elizabeth, do you have something to add
I have
to this
some site-
before yeah, go ahead.
recall, if you will, that the reason that I don't know about this version of the policy, but the reason that we had this policy in the first place started with West Windsor School Board before we were even merged into Mount Escutney. And it had to do with a couple of entities coming into Albert Bridge School and posting notices or advertisements on the walls, not outside on the bulletin board, but inside on the walls. And they took advantage of the community use of the building policy.
Mm,
So this was in response to that, to stop that from happening, because it didn't go through any kind of approval
okay.
and anybody in the building.
So Christine, my take on it, that this read through, it's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really gives you the power and the procedure. And so,
Right.
create a procedure in which
That works.
that works in.
Okay.
The thing about interesting about sales of advertisement space, the reason that's in there is that if you sell advertising space at like on the athletic field, that doesn't mean it's that doesn't make it a something public forum. It doesn't make it a public forum. I mean, that's so that, in other words, so that, in a public forum space, people can come and give things around and preach.
Right. Right.
And,
Yep.
and just because you sell space for advertisers, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a traditional public forum. Thank you. Davis.
Yeah, I mean, I think my only recommendation on this, just to keep it from being confusing, I guess, right? Is do we want to just strike the primarily seeks to advertise for sales product or services? Because if we're saying that, you know, there might be student programming that would run afoul of that in policy, I mean, we have the ability to just strike that line.
Maybe it's, you know, primarily seeks to advertise for sales, products, or services that do not benefit our student body, right? Or something like that. I don't
Yes.
know.
Or
Yeah.
maybe that don't fall under maybe that don't fall under categories A through F from
Yeah.
under 1A through F, because that's, I think that if we clarified that, then it would create the space
Yeah.
that we need for that kind of stuff. Because it's kind of the same with fundraising, right? Like
Yeah.
there might be civic or community organizations that like understandably would fundraise in a school setting, and you have the ability to approve them. But I think we need some clarity there, or else those two things kind of might seem to be in conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
mean, when
helpful.
you're talking about, you know, that pamphlet comes under F, you know, literature regarding private academic tutoring, music lessons,
Mhm.
or non-school sponsored athletics. And so,
Right. Like a dance class or
like a dance
something like
class.
that. Yeah. Yeah. That
Um,
makes sense.
Yeah,
But
or
if
if
you
like
want
scouts
to-
for fundraising or something, right? Like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
But just to make clear, like the superintendent is not having to make every decision around what goes in and out of a newsletter or something, correct?
No,
That would
no,
be
but
it. Okay.
the
Just
power,
making sure making
yeah.
sure that's right, because that seems
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. the
Um,
power goes through the superintendent and her agents. And so if you create a procedure, the procedure could be principal
Principals. Yeah.
would first, you know, if any issues, then yeah. So you're right, Beth. Yeah. Okay. Board superintendent relationships, code A24. So the only thing in this, I mean, I've read through this and it's pretty standard. I don't think this is a new policy. It's just we're
Mm-mm.
adding at least annually.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
what was it?
I think it was just annually.
It was just annually.
So I guess why don't we want just annually in there? Why is it?
Well, because we may want to have it more than once.
Yeah, but having it annually doesn't mean you can't have it more than once. I
It
don't
does
know.
infer that. I think this takes out that to allow someone to infer that it's only an annual meeting. I don't know. I think we've all experienced individuals who tend to take things to the extreme. I think this is a pretty, yeah. Any other comments? Okay. B3, alcohol and drug-free workplace. All this changes. Actually, what it changes, it makes the employee volunteer what can happen. It cleaned it up, makes it clarifies it at the bottom, simplifies it. Any comments on this? Okay. HHB policy discussion. And looking at a modern policy demands from impacted families. Where is this from?
This is from a group of, so it comes from a large swath of organizations that are concerned about hazing, harassment, and bullying, which once again today, the HHB Advisory Council was supposed to meet, and for the fourth month, could not get for fourth consecutive month, could not get a quorum. And so I told this group of people that includes Education Justice Coalition, but also Up for Learning and VSARN, Vermont Student Anti-Racism Network, but also there are like 10 different organizations that worked on this. These suggestions were brought to the HHB Advisory Council, or they have been planning, this group of students has been planning to bring these suggestions to the HHB Advisory Council for the last 4 months. And I, having worked with them to get ready to present them to the HHB Advisory Council, I told them that I would try to bring to our board a robust discussion of what their suggestions were, because I think they are actually, a lot of them are, they're holistic, and they're sensible, they're not complicated, and they include students. But most importantly, a lot of them are preventative. And I think that's really important. So it asks, where is it? It asks that students be, where is it? It asks to have a robust restorative justice. And so when it says policy connection and model policy, that relates to the new Agency of Education model policy, which has been, which was proposed now 1.5 years ago, but they cannot get a quorum on the advisory council to approve the new policy. So they went ahead and came forward with these suggestions. These suggestions actually also apply to our current HHB policy. So it seems to me that things like mandatory intervention bullying policy is sensible, and that youth training goes a long way in prevention. And so I just wanted to, and whistleblower protection, transparency, and communication, these are all things that I think any outside of a boilerplated HHB policy, that these are things that we should be considering and discussing, whether we adopt it or not, just having a discussion about it. So that's why I brought it.
I don't know if anyone else realized that really the model policy is the link at the top. Is that correct, Elizabeth?
Hang on, let me look.
Because you click that, it opens an actual, yeah, okay.
That is the new suggested policy. The, sorry, I can't see you when I open these things up, so I'm trying to make sure that I can see you. That is the model policy that's been discussed by the Agency of Education. They took a lot of comments on it for about 6 months. The policy that it's linked to does not include any of the suggestions that were made by the, for example, Human Rights Commission, which is now the top of the pile for our civil rights inside schools, for example, because now there is no OCR, Office of Civil Rights, at the prior to last January, we had the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education. That has now been shut down. So it is incumbent upon us to not just ensure that student civil rights are upheld, but also that we do things to educate students and adults to prevent hazing, harassment, and bullying from happening in the first place. That was part of the impetus for moving towards this AOE policy revision. But as it was supposed to be implemented for this school year, to give you an idea of how remarkably slowly this process is going. And I don't want to get on a huge soapbox, but a little soapbox, which is, Christine heard me say this earlier, but in these times, it's really hard to make a case in favor of public education if we're not protecting our students in every possible way, both physically, emotionally, and otherwise. And so I think anything that we can do to improve and prevent HHB, I think, is really crucial right now.
So after this link, Elizabeth, are these the suggestions from that student group, or?
So the link at the top is the model AOE policy that has not yet been approved.
Okay, and what's below?
What's below is these are policies that have been suggested by students who were and are bullied. These are so there were a number of listening sessions. I can give you a report that this is based upon, but there were a number of listening sessions where they took input from students and asked students what would make things better. And then it sort of went through a, professional educator group of, I think it's like 10 different organizations. And this is what they came up with.
And what I like about this is there's some really clear language on prevention.
There's clear language on prevention. There's also clear language on accountability.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes missing.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Any other comments? I mean, Elizabeth, what do you foresee our next steps on this? Are we just going to wait for the agency to review the suggested?
Well, my thought was no, that we don't wait for the agency to review the suggested, because they are like the next meeting that the AOE had, or not AOE, the HHB Advisory Council has, will not include a review of these. It will not include a review of the policy. They're not anywhere near taking into account the public comments that have been made for the last like 18 months. They're not there. And
Okay.
the fact is that these things could help students as soon as a policy is updated. These things actually could start helping right away. And so the thought being, why wait? And then hopefully the AOE will incorporate these into its model policy. But they're like healthy policies. And I really was just trying to start a conversation about whether any of these or all of these or which of these should be included in our own HHB policy as it already exists.
Davis?
Yeah, thanks for sharing this, Elizabeth, and giving some context around kind of how it was generated. In looking through it, I mean, I think these are all really solid proposals for integration into our policies. I wonder if a good next step to take would be to, I mean, even if we're waiting for the model policy at the state level, like do we incorporate this into any current policy and see where we can update it, or just are we working into the kind of anticipated review schedule? I mean, I think to your point, there's stuff we could do before the state policy comes out. I'm just not, I'm not sure what the most kind of efficient way of doing that is.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. It took me a second to wrap my head around the fact that what the state is creating is a model policy. It's not legislature. And so
That's right. That's
you
right.
got to take a step back and go, oh, it's a model policy. It doesn't mean that we have to
Like-
wait.
I went to meet with Secretary Saunders right before Thanksgiving to tell her that she has the power to change the way we approach HHB without the legislature doing anything. Like, you have the power, you can do this. So I'm trying to spread that power around all the places that it can grow, because we have the power to improve things. We as a board could do this. And again, I'm really just trying to start a conversation about what any of us thinks about each individual thing, or all of the things together, or any, which. I would think that the next step would be to take it and see whether it fits into our own current HHB policy. But I felt that this bringing it to the board was the first step before that.
Yeah. Well, looking at, and I don't know if we want to create a committee to do this, not necessarily tonight, but it's the next step. It may be, because a board meeting isn't the place to do this. The board meeting would not be its first, I don't feel would be the first place that we would tackle this. I think in the board meeting, we can decide how we're going to tackle it, but looking at, what is already in the policy, and does what's in the policy, for example, around staff and school training, this is number 2 here, does what's currently in the policy create, is there a better way to, should that be changed to fit more with what is in here?
That is exactly the question, Bill.
Right. So, Christine.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for all of your work on this. I know you've attended a ton of meetings and bring us updates, so I really appreciate that. I'm wondering if, I like your idea of a committee. I was wondering if it would be okay if I haven't brought this to the administrators yet. We have meetings weekly. I'd love to run it by them and see what their thoughts are, and potentially have one of them serve on the committee. That works.
Thank you, Christine.
Yep.
So I think does anyone have any other comments? Thank you, Elizabeth. I think
Yes.
that, yes, Amy.
Yes, Bill. One of the things that we hear over and over again from families of students who have experienced being bullied or harassed is feeling that they haven't been heard, or that the person who has been doing the bullying or harassment has not been held accountable. And I think anything that we can do to strengthen our policy and to have training so that victims feel heard, and that there's some sort of reparation, meaningful response for the people so that they don't feel that they have to actually leave our school district because they're not feeling safe.
Yeah.
So thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing this.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Pickle. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Administrative report. Christine?
Wait,
Yes.
are
What?
we, are we gonna have a committee? Are we going to have
Yes.
a next
Christine's
step?
going to talk to the administrators first to see if anyone wants to be on that committee. And then, does anyone else want to be on it? But so do we need, I guess the question I have, Elizabeth and Davis and anybody else who knows about, do we need to vote on this? Having a committee?
I think so, because the committee would be also, Amy, do you
Empowered?
know for sure? The committee would be as a public body.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we would need to vote on it.
Mhm.
Just to give it the appropriate authority to make decisions or to bring something to the full board.
Okay. Davis?
Does it make sense to vote on it after the administration's been reached out to, maybe at our next meeting? So we'll kind of have people ready to go and can get started from that point.
What do people think? I'm kind of on the fence on that. And if our intention is to create a committee, I don't think we need to wait. But Elizabeth?
My understanding of bringing it to the administration was not necessarily to ask administration whether there should be a committee,
No.
but whether somebody would like to join the committee. And my concern is that if we wait, the work will be delayed. And again, stressing that in these times we need to ensure
Elizabeth,
safety.
I'm happy to put it to a vote. And then if we vote no, then we wait till next month. And so I will take a motion to create a committee to review. I don't think review, a committee to look at and work on harassment, hazing, and bullying of students.
So moved, Amy.
Do I have a second?
Second, Davis.
Okay. I will take a roll call vote. Beth, how do you vote?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Heather?
Nancy?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Is that it?
I'm here. Anne Marie. Aye.
Anne Marie, sorry. Yeah,
And Nancy, I.
I called on you. Okay. And I'm an I. Okay. Did I miss anybody? I closed my meeting list. Is John here?
No.
Okay.
No, he isn't going to be here tonight. He had a select board meeting he had to attend.
Okay. Okay. So it passes. We have a committee. And I'm
Who-
actually tempted to be on it, but just because this is a area of weakness for me. Christine?
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to gather who from the board might be interested in being on the committee. Do we need
Well, I
to know
don't have-
that
yeah.
to set up meetings?
I don't think we need to know that right now,
Okay,
but
okay.
I I will encourage people to speak out. This is an area of weakness of me, and I don't mean that I don't agree with HHB, but I don't have a lot of background in it. So I'd be willing to serve on this committee to broaden my knowledge of it, because it is an extremely important subject.
I would also be willing to serve on it.
Okay. Okay. And okay. That's what we have so far. And maybe we can get an administrator, and the rest of you can think about it. If we create a schedule, maybe someone else could join us.
I could also invite one of the kids who was involved to come and present what the suggested updates are.
I mean, one reason I'm excited about it, because I have found I gave a couple tasks to the Hartford High School. They have a student committee there, and what they produced was outstanding. It was a student group, a student equity group at the high school, and what they created was outstanding. And so anything that I find things that student create tend to be more insightful than what my old mind can create. So, okay. Thank you, Elizabeth, again. Any other comments? Christine, it's all you.
All right. Let me get my. Here it comes. There it is. All right. Okay, I've got some, I'm going to start with some exciting stuff that's been going on at our schools around our student engagement and student success. So the pictures on this slide are of our students when they returned from break. Our Windsor middle and high school students, they were definitely ready to shine, and they did at a concert that was postponed before the holiday break. So it happened in early January. It was a wonderful evening of music and community. There was a large crowd to cheer the students on, and they really did a phenomenal job. And I was really impressed with the difficulty of some of the numbers that they presented to us, and they definitely had a lot of passion. You could see it in their performance. So just wanted to shout them out since I couldn't do it before the break. And it feels like Kate and Colleen aren't here, but it feels like our band and choral numbers are growing, which is one of the goals for the school, which is great. The next photos, these photos are Heartland Middle School Science Fair students, and they had another successful event at the school. This was the first science fair that this particular science teacher has done, and so he was pretty proud. It went off without a hitch. Students were engaged. Their projects were pretty interesting, and they did a really nice job articulating what they'd learned. So shout out to JD at Heartland and all the students. This is another event from Heartland that was last week. These Heartland students became global ambassadors at a recent geography fair, and they shared fascinating insights into the countries they researched. They had everything from maps to delicious cultural cuisine that everybody got to sample. So it was really a wonderful experience to share with them. So really exciting student-led things going on in our SU. This is the science fair, the high school science fair, which was also last week. It's been a busy month. And our high school scientists took center stage at the High School Windsor Science Fair, which Kate always says is the best in the state. It was in the gym on the catwalk around the gym, and the gym was buzzing with energy as students shared their impressive research on a variety of topics. And so we were really, I was, and everyone that I spoke with was really proud of their professional delivery and the confident way they explained their learning to judges and visitors. So it was a really excellent science fair. So there's some, I couldn't put them all on, but there's a few students sharing their projects in the pictures. And the last picture slide, this is our high school student lighthouse leadership team. And this year they've partnered with Up for Learning. So Up for Learning has come in and worked with this group of students over the course of the year. And they took them through an activity to identify what the students' hopes and dreams are for their school. And they had to answer questions about what their strengths are, what the concerns are about the school. And now the students are going to take that activity to a staff meeting and engage the staff in the same questions. And they're taking the same activity to each swarm. So they're going to be duplicating this across their school. They've also created a student and a staff survey that they will be administering, and then they come back together in February and they're going to look at those results. So pretty exciting things happening in the high school. We have partnered with the Vermont Agency of Education, and they are piloting this program called Read Vermont Literacy Institute. And we jumped on, it was late, it came out late from the AOE. So it was a rush to be able to make it happen. But with the help of Bridget and the principals, we are on board and have started our work with the Read Vermont Literacy Institute. So they provide a meaningful journey of structured learning, practice, and reflection designed to support school-wide instructional change, and especially around early literacy. We have all 3 of our districts participating, grades 2 and 3 across the SU. Staff and administrators involved will be able to engage in 3 coaching cycles from now. They just started January to June. And then this partnership can continue next year. If we find it really beneficial, we can spread it to other classrooms within the supervisory union.
Christine?
Yes.
Elizabeth here.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Is it all 4 schools?
It's all 3 districts right now. So we could only have 3 schools participate. That's all the space they had. So our hope is to spread it next fall across all schools, different grade levels.
So Albert Bridge is not able to participate?
They're not able to participate in this round of the coaching cycles.
Thanks.
But yeah. It's tricky too. We're still working with Jennifer on multi-age classrooms and how to support that work as well. So this will get to them, but not this cycle. I don't know if you watch the news. I'm not going to play it here, but we did make the news. The Vermont Agency of Education and Zoe Saunders approved the VT, that's the Vermont Learning Collab, Articles of Agreement that legally establish VTVLC as Vermont's first Board of Cooperative Education Services, or BOCES. So that was exciting news that came this month. And this was in the statement. I think I shared it with all of you, the purpose of the BOCES and the goals that it will be measured by the agency to improve the educational access and outcomes of children with disabilities in the least restrictive environment through regionally located high quality and cost-effective therapeutic programs and services, to offer a variety of high quality professional development opportunities to educators in order to build regional expertise and capacity, to support regional supervisory union and district staffing needs by creating a pool of experts in specific disciplines and providing staffing services, which can be shared regionally, which I know is already being done, and offer responsive programs and services to members in a cost-effective manner. So we're pretty excited about that. I know that Jill, who you all met, the director, has been and will be testifying during the next couple of weeks in the legislature with questions about educational service agencies. We have an early release day coming up in a couple of weeks. So our plan, I just want to share what we're working on. We will be having a variety of offerings for staff to engage in. Support staff will engage in executive functioning training. Jen Hulse has set that up and has a trainer coming in to support that work. Teachers will be they have to complete a VT-CAP training before they can administer VT-CAP. So we're going to give them some time to do that work. And they'll be engaged in data dives from the STAR and DIBELS testing that is happening this month. Our social emotional interventionists will be working with Outright Vermont, and our BCBAs are working with our pre-K staff. So people are spread around, engaged in work that's meaningful for them. A couple of quick legislative updates. They're back in session from what I've heard, and I've been trying to watch testimony and attend what I can, but have heard that PCB is a topic that has the full attention of the House Education Committee. And we had, I think, 4 superintendents that have been impacted by PCBs testify last week. I'm sure you all heard the governor's proposed a property tax buy down. Again, we think that it will probably go through, or it looks that way. Maybe Elizabeth has insider information, but it seems that way from the outside. The Secretary of Education has proposed redistricting maps. So she, on January 15th, put out a proposal. Within that proposal, the state is divided into VSBA regions is one map. One map is a regional high school district map, and one is a hybrid between the two of those. And I can send that to you if you haven't seen it. Other things going on, Winter Star and M-Class DIBELS sessions are underway this month. And the teachers are going to look at that data in February and complete some new goals. Our 4th and 8th graders will take NAEP assessments January through March. I think that's all 4 of our schools, correct, Bridget? Bridget's still here.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yeah, they really upped the number of schools they're testing, even
Yeah.
Hartford. And
Yeah.
the big change is that they won't be bringing equipment.
interesting.
Yeah.
We have to use our own computers. Kids
Yeah.
have to use their own
We're-
computers.
We're
Okay.
all set with
Yeah.
that, though. Mike's been
Okay.
great.
It's
Good.
not a big deal, but it's
Yeah, they used to come in with their bins of computers. Yeah. VT-CAP testing will start at the end of March. We have our schedules ready to go. So each school has their own schedule when the testing will happen. And then planning for summer programming is underway, and Jen is going to share a little bit about that in her report later after mine. And then the last thing I have is quarterly financials, which Larry's going to report on. Larry, I will click on them and open them for you
Okay,
and share this tab instead. There you go.
so this will not be too surprising when we saw how FY25 ended and as we prepared the FY27 budgets. We talked a lot about the deficit in special ed, and you will see that deficit reflected here again in FY26. We were able to use some fund balance to make sure that we didn't have to come back to the local districts and reassess to meet that deficit in FY25. And FY26, we won't know for sure where we're going to be there. So again, it's really early. We're halfway through the school year. We expect to get a lot more revenue from the state because most of the increase in the deficit in special ed is because of tuition, which we get reimbursed for at a certain dollar amount over what we call intensive needs. So that's a pool of money. We expect to get a lot of that money. If you click on the slide 2.
Which one? Yeah, there you go.
So the expenditures, non-special ed is showing a small, surplus projection. And if you scroll down, we're looking at 1.6. But again, it's early. We had a number of 1.2 at this time last fiscal year. And if you remember, as we finished the year, we ended with a small deficit that after all the revenue was taken into account from the state, that our fund balance was able to wash away without coming back to the districts to reassess. So we are in the same boat this year. This is why As I know everybody on this phone call remembers, when we built the SU budget for FY27, knowing what we knew in FY25-26, we took care of that. But again, we are still living with that in FY26.
What page would
Hopefully
you like
better
me to go
news
to?
in the fourth.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can go all
Go
the way
to the
down the
bottom.
bottom if you want.
Okay.
But this is just more detail of everything I just told you.
And this is
And
this one.
yeah, so
Okay.
hopefully I'll have better news for you in the fourth quarter, like I did in FY25. And again, the books aren't really close to August, September, so it won't really be. I don't really report out on the fourth quarter until August, probably September. That's when the auditors come in.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Larry?
Yes, Elizabeth.
It's not about this. I just wondered whether you, Larry, had a chance to watch the VASBO testimony in the House Ways and Means Committee, because it was very good.
I have not had a chance. We talked about it at the previous VASBO meeting. When was the committee? Was it today?
It was no, it was last week.
Last week.
I'll email you a link to it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I can find it. It's right there. Everything's on YouTube, right?
Yep.
All right, I'll find it. Yeah, I heard about it and I didn't watch it, and we have sort of a VASBO group chat where people come and go. So obviously I'll be in the loop. But thank you. I will listen to testimony.
All right. That concludes my report. Bill, I can turn it back to you and give Jen the floor.
Let's give Jen the floor.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay? Great.
Yes.
All right, all right. So I put together a few slides here, and what I want to do in talking about the WSESU special ed landscape is I'd also like to share some data from the state while we're in the process of talking about special education in the WSESU. Some data I've pulled from a couple of different reports from the state. The first section here talking about student enrollment having decreased, yet the number of students with IEPs has risen. The state has also experienced growth in the number of students qualifying for extraordinary expenses, and those are students who are exceeding their services, programs, placements are exceeding 67,446 a year, and we get a reimbursement of that. This rise in students requiring extraordinary or costs of extraordinary expenses is indicating not only that more students are being identified, but that the intensity and complexity of their needs are increasing. Rising extraordinary costs, particularly in the categories of tuition and transportation, reflect both the growing severity and complexity of students' needs and the fact that many districts lack the in-house capacity, staffing, and specialized resources to respond effectively. Some additional data from the Act 73 report of the special ed delivery report, compared to other states and national averages, Vermont serves a larger number of students in either more inclusive classrooms or separate schools, particularly in the disability categories of autism and emotional disturbance. In Vermont, almost 82% of students with IEPs spend 80% or more of their day in a regular classroom, while a little over 5% are in separate schools. Nationally, about 67% of students with IEPs are in the regular classroom, 80% or more of the day, and a little over 2% are in separate schools. Although Vermont is inclusive for many students, qualitative data indicate a continued challenge with general and special education practices that can manifest in an over-reliance on paraeducators to access general instruction and a lack of shared ownership of the educational outcomes for students with IEPs. As of the 23-24 school year, there were 16,152 students in the state of Vermont eligible for special education ages 3 through 21. And as I had mentioned earlier, there's an ongoing trend of increasing numbers of students with disabilities. The percentage of students with IEPs in Vermont has increased from 2019-20 from 17.9% to 19.6%, reflective of the 23-24 school year. In comparison, between 2019 and 20 and 22-23, the proportion of students with IEPs nationally increased from 14.4% to 15.2%. Again, suggesting the rate of identification of students requiring IEPs is increasing faster in Vermont than the rest of the country. Some interesting data I wanted to share with you. Vermont, for many years, has been known to have a particularly high percentage rate of students labeled as emotionally disturbed. And as you can see here, this data came from FY23. The percent of students identified in Vermont with an emotional disturbance is 15%. Nationally, that number is 4.5%. Specific learning disability remains the most common disability category, and the count has stayed relatively stable. The shift away from the discrepancy model in 23 toward a new model based on students' response to scientific research-based interventions was intended to allow for earlier intervention and may also lead, hopefully, to a decrease in the number of students identified with specific learning disability. However, the success of this new model hinges on the quality of the entire system, from universal instruction to the fidelity of targeted interventions. So here is our WSESU child count. Please note that the 25 child count is not yet verified by the agency. These collections go into the agency on December 1st of each year. I've highlighted the areas of disability that have shown increase: developmental delay, other health impairment, and specific learning disability. As you can see, we've gone from 284 child count in 24 to 296 in 25. We have a 22% eligibility rate in the WSESU, and the state average is 19.6. Here I've broken it down for you by grade, and you can see where the numbers increase significantly for eligibility is in second grade and fourth grade. And then weirdly, we had an increase of about 6 kids in high school, which doesn't typically happen very often because those students have typically been identified before then. I've also broken down our child count by town. There was a question about this a few meetings ago. So you can see the child count from 24 to 25 per town. And then I've also included our out-of-district placements. We went from 17 in the 24 child count to 18 in the 25 child count. I've also broken it down by male and female. I think this is interesting data. As you can see, year over year here, males are identified with disabilities far more than females are. I also included our graduation rate, and this is data from the state, and this is the most recent data that they had for us. So the 22-23 school year, our graduation rate for students with disabilities is 75%. The state's target is 81%, and we obviously did not meet that mark. Similarly, the 22-23 school year, our dropout rate was 25%, and the state target is 17%, so we also did not meet that target. Some systems changes that we've put into place this year. We have alternate classrooms in Heartland, Windsor Middle School, Windsor High School. We have now created process and purpose statements for these classrooms, as well as actual referral forms. And these are up on our website for people to see under student services. We've also put in place a one-to-one protocol that IEP teams are required to follow when considering implementation of a one-to-one paraeducator, a one-to-one behavior interventionist, or an out-of-district placement. And those also come with an independence plan because we always want to fade those supports. We're implementing a model of rate of improvement under response to intervention for identification of specific learning disability. We're proceduralizing this. And we are working with special ed's working with the intervention team. And we also had a training with Dr. Tim Runge, a national expert, and he'll be doing a follow-up training with WSESU specifically to ensure that we are putting appropriate benchmarks in place to make this new system work. We've created a paraeducator guidebook, and that is up on the website. We've also created a rubric to better define the roles between our SEIs, our BIs, and our paras. And before Christmas break, I sent out an inclusion survey to all teachers, general and special ed across the district to help drive professional development in the future. The goals for the WSESU special ed department are as follows: to ensure that all special education staff become fluent in special education regulation, to implement a procedure of ROI, which I just spoke of, to provide training and structured literacy programs such as OG, Wilson, and YouFly to staff who have not received training or need more training to improve their instructional toolbox. Want to work to continue and define and refine the alternate classroom opportunities and potentially add a classroom for grades 3 to 5 and explore appropriate curricula for those classrooms. Going to continue to work to mitigate costs while ensuring adherence to federal and state law, and continue to work to improve support staff, professional development with stakeholder involvement. Any questions before I go on to the Summer Academy revamp? Yes, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I wondered whether, what is the impact of the Olmsted decision on any of your thoughts and plans and goals or the current state of affairs regarding alternate classrooms and alternate placements? Thanks.
So I've had a long-standing philosophy around alternate classrooms and therapeutic settings. In particular, alternate classrooms within our own districts. I don't like to have our students segregated. I feel it's important for students with disabilities to engage with their peers as often as possible, so that they have modeling by their typically developing peers. That said, every student needs something different. And so the model of the alternate classrooms this year has changed significantly. Those students are not just in their alternate classroom all day with just those students. They're accessing specials with their typically developing students. At the high school alternate classroom, we've actually had general ed teachers going in to help support that curriculum. And moving forward, we're looking to further opportunities to engage students outside the alternate classroom, understanding that those students need something very specific and different than the typical population. So that's, I don't know if that's helped answer your question, Elizabeth, but that's where I come, that's my stance.
I really was also asking about when earlier in your presentation, when you were talking about the rise in cost of special education being partly attributed to the lack of capacity leading to alternate placements. I am a little bit concerned about that with regards to the Olmsted decision.
So I think there's a couple of reasons I think that we struggle. I think that there is a need to really have more informed training And also an understanding that a student with an IEP is not a special ed student, it's a general ed student that's on a plan. And so I think it takes a lot of work with both general ed and special ed coming together to really figure out programming and placement for kids so that we can get more creative within our own district and think about how we can support kids better at home. That said, we have young people whose needs are such that we're just not able to educate them in the public school setting, and they require a therapeutic wrap where they can get all the pieces that they need in order to receive a FAPE.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Larry?
Yeah, I just think it's important for everybody to understand as Jen's going through her presentation and she's going over the increased IEP count, child count, the increased percentages, et cetera, that since the census block grant has come to Windsor Southeast SU, it's gone down every year. So when I just checked the numbers in fiscal year 23, the census block grant for us was 3.5 million. I'm forecasting for FY27 to be 3.1 million. So that's a difference of $400,000 that is grant state money that we don't see that has to be picked up from somewhere. And that's assuming if IEP counts were going down, and they're not. So I just want to make sure everybody on the board is aware that the census block grant, all it is doing is passing those costs that will be borne onto the local assessments and therefore the local school districts.
Thank you, Larry. And a reminder also that the landscape of increased special ed needs is not just within the WSESU, it's statewide. So I want to touch on the Summer Academy revamp. So Bridget and I have had a lot of conversations about Summer Academy, and I am new to this district this year. So I've had conversations with Bridget, my staff, and Bridget's had conversations with staff, and we are looking at our data. And this is regardless of the special ed count of students. We're looking at data of students who have not yet been identified. And our data is not great. The data in ELA and math indicate a need for more structured academic focused summer program. And so that's what we're proposing. We're going to be looking at developing a benchmark of students that we want to invite to Summer Academy. And those are the students that are in the red and the low yellow. We want to pull the academies back to each school. So each school will host the academy. The staff that work one of the reasons for this is that staff that work in those schools know those kids that are going to be referred or invited to Summer Academy. They've already worked with them. They understand their assessments. Staff appear to be more interested in working within their own buildings. We're proposing that the academy run the month of July, 3 days per week, 8 to 12, all academic. Snacks, food will certainly be provided. And then students will be able to potentially access building-based opportunities in the afternoon, such as Bates Camp, STEAM, the BTG, which is a non-school district program. The rec program at Heartland, which is also not part of the school. Bridget, I don't know if you want to add to that.
I think that you've got, I think we really need a little bit more targeted work. And the other thing that we really look forward to is a little tighter on progress monitoring. That means pre, mid, and post assessments so that we can see if we need to adjust instruction. So we've just got the students that are in certainly the lower 20% that just need that targeted support, with a caring community. But we know we've got folks out there that are very good at intervention work, and we really want to bring it back to a much more targeted approach.
Any questions about any of that? Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. If there aren't any questions, I will stop sharing my document.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, items for discussion. Right off the bat, draft calendar. Christina, you looking to get the calendar approved?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can share my screen. It's in your packet as well, I believe. But I'll pull it up. 1 second. So this is a draft of the faculty staff calendar. Lori does a public facing one as well. We spent just make sure you can see it and that it's big enough. We spent, I think, 2 months with our union leadership talking through this calendar and trying to make it the best calendar for kids and meet the needs of the professional development that we anticipate presenting next year. So, you want me to scroll through it, Bill? What's the best? Can't see the whole. You can't see the whole thing.
Well, if anyone else wants you to scroll through it, I've got it up on my screen. Okay. Probably makes sense to people to look at it on yourself. It's actually on the it's on the agenda.
Yeah, okay, it's linked on the agenda too.
It's linked on the agenda.
I should just preface that the regional superintendents got together. As you know, that part of Act 73 that I think is a statewide calendar, but we do have consistency, I believe, across the I want to say state for the vacations. So the February and April vacations, I think, are all the same across the state. Start dates vary a little bit, and that is due to some language in some collective agreements for some districts. But across our region, our start dates for students line up. Ours lines up with the tech center. Our vacations, we work pretty closely with the Hartford Tech Center to align our calendars as closely as we can. So happy to.
Yeah, I compared and contrasted the two. I actually have early access. So the only big difference is the Hartford has 2 days of in-service. Only big difference is this. Hartford has 2 days of in-service in March. And so, that's pretty minor. Just got to make plans for those HACTC students.
Right.
On those 2 days. So, but yeah, I'm the only two issues I have is, to make sure that it aligns closely with HACTC and that, we got to cut down on those early release. It's just, I don't know why we were at 6, we're at 5. I'd like to get down to 4, but that's just
okay.
The one I'd like to get rid of is I think it's a contract issue. I don't know if it's in there. It's the day before Christmas. That just annoys me. That's just really annoys me, but I'll let it go for now.
Thank you, Bill. I know. That one's I understand why. Heather had a chat question.
Okay.
Or a question in the chat.
Heather, go ahead.
All I asked was about November 4th and the professional development. Sorry, my children are screaming in the background.
November. Do you mean September, Heather?
September
4th. That one was a request from the staff, because we poll the staff, we send out the draft calendar, they give feedback, and it was, I'm looking at the days, they find that it start a slow start of 3 days, 4 days. For the past several years, it's been 3 days, 3 student days, 4 student days, 5 student days, really helps students adjust to the schedule. This year, because of when things start, they asked if we could move one of our upfront PD days to September 4th to give families a long, was that Labor Day weekend, and then to create that slow roll into 5 days a week. So that's the rationale behind it.
I like it. I mean, that sort of splits stuff up,
Yeah,
especially for when you're clumping a bunch of staff development days at the beginning of the school year. Teachers don't really have their heads in that
right.
position. They're
It's
thinking
hard.
about, they're thinking about the 26th. That's really all they're thinking about.
Right.
At least that's what I did. If you're like, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Oh, someone else is talking. Yeah, but I need to do X, Y, and Z. And so,
Yes, that is exactly part of the rationale.
yeah. But good question, Heather.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other comments? So are you looking to get this approved tonight, Christine?
Yeah. Yes. Hoping to get it approved tonight.
Okay, I will take a motion. If there's, well, let's get a motion, then we get some discussion. I'll take a motion to approve the draft Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union 2026-2027 school year calendar for faculty and staff.
So moved, Davis.
Second, Amy.
Thank you. Any discussion? Elizabeth?
Can you just scroll down so we can see the
Yeah,
rest?
sure.
I can't.
I sure
Thanks.
can. Let me get to the right tab. Okay. So that was August, September, October. There's November, December, January, February, March, April. I can't see what you're saying. Yes. Okay. I got that right.
And yellow is
Yellow is in service. Those are the in-service days, professional development days.
okay.
And they're not all professional development. I'm sorry. April 16th is a parent-teacher conference day. And the one in October 30th is a parent-teacher conference day.
So I have one request for next year.
Sure.
Is for you to get together with Katie.
Yep.
And you guys display the calendar opposite.
Yep.
You guys display it horizontally, August, September, October. Hartford displays it
I'm working on it.
vertically, August, September. So it makes it really difficult to compare and contrast the two. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
a minor request.
Me and you.
I don't think really.
We can work on that. Lori's good at stuff like that.
I know that's just my thing because I actually go through both of them with a fine-tooth comb to look at them. Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay. I will take a voice vote on this. I think we're all pretty all in favor of approving the draft calendar for 2026, 2027. Please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm an aye. Any abstentions? Anyone vote nay? Okay. There we go. My agenda. Update on school choice tuition from the legislature.
I think that was Elizabeth. Were you going to do that?
Well, the update is that they are still in the heat of discussing it. So
Okay.
that's the update.
Okay. Thank you. Letter in support of Winooski School District, Hartford, and Katie Sutton sent out this letter for the to support the students and families and from the federal immigration authorities. And I think the point of bringing it for discussion here is to see if anyone would like to, anyone feels we should do the same. Davis?
Yeah, Bill, thanks. I would certainly be in favor of signing on to this letter.
Amy?
I am also in favor.
Okay. Elizabeth?
I am also in favor. Thank you.
Okay. I am as well. Beth gave a thumbs up. I will take a motion to create a draft, a copy of the or our own version of a letter of support for the Winooski School District, and have Lori send it out and have us all sign it.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I've got
So
a
moved.
question first. Is
Davis?
it your intention?
I'm intention to actually vote on it.
Is it your intention for us to sign as a board or as individuals? Before we have a motion.
Okay. Okay.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you, Davis.
Sorry. Or both.
I would prefer to have it from the board and have us all sign it. I think that would be the most powerful thing to do.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So that's, I will entertain a letter for the board and individual signatures for a letter of support for the Winooski School District.
So moved.
This Amy, second.
Okay. So Davis and Amy, all in favor? Oh, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, it is unanimous.
Okay. We'll get,
Okay,
I'll have Lori send it through. We'll do a copy and have it sent through
Okay.
DocuSign. So
thank you.
Yep.
Christine, resignation.
yes, let me just find it. I do have it here at least. Okay, so we have a resignation. I will read it to you. Please accept this letter as formal notice of my resignation from my position as special educator effective February 4th, 2026. After careful consideration, I have made the decision due to the significant stress of the role and its impact on my mental and physical health. At this time, I need to prioritize my well-being in order to address these health concerns responsibly. I also feel it would be unfair to the students if I were to return while unable to give my full 100% support they need and deserve. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have worked with such dedicated colleagues and students, and I appreciate the support I've received during my time at Wethersfield School. And that is coming from Paul Doron, if I said that right. I never get his last name right. So he has resigned for some reasons stated, and so we're bringing it to the board for your approval.
Nancy?
Is that effective immediately or at the end of the school year?
It's effective February 4th.
Thank you.
Which is about immediately.
Yeah, it is actually. He sent it on January 6th, so we've had it. We're just waiting for the meeting. Excuse me.
Christine, do you have any background to share that would be more appropriate for executive session?
I have a little bit that I can share in executive session. Sure.
Okay, I'm going to say we should do that just because.
Yep.
I'd like some more background. Anne Marie?
Just wondering if we have what our plans are to fill his position. Do we have someone that we can slide in there, or do we need to?
That's our next item on the agenda. We do have a new hire to bring to you tonight to fill that position.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I don't see an executive session on here. Usually there is on the agenda.
Well, we only put it now if we anticipate one. And sorry, that's excuse me, that's new in the statute.
Okay.
So
Does it mean we can't go into executive session?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It just,
Okay. I'm going to make that call. So let's go into executive session, and then
let me
we
stop.
can come
the
out of
recording.
executive session and vote
No, that's wrong.
on your new hire as well afterwards.
Okay. Okay. Let me just stop the recording.
So wait,
Do we need
before
to
we go
do
into
the motion
recording,
before we
I
start
make a
recording?
motion to go in executive session. God, I wish I had my paper here, to discuss a staff issue.
So moved.
I think it would be one. Do you want me to say it, Bill? So you
Yes,
have the
thank
correct
you.
language. 1 BSA 313A1, and you're going in under contracts.
Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, Nancy. Do I have a second?
Second, Davis.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay. Thank you, Christine. You can shut off the
Yep.
recording now.
Okay.
Larry
Stop it.
and Jennifer.